We are absolutely drowning in content, right? Every single day. So, how in the world are you supposed to know what's actually valuable and what's, well, just noise? In this explainer, we're going to build a mental toolkit to help you spot quality information from a mile away. You ready? Let's get into it. So, let's kick things off with a really fundamental question. Is all information created equal? I think deep down we all know the answer is a big no, right? A headline you just happen to scroll past on social media, it just doesn't have the same weight as, say, a peer-reviewed study. But why? What is it that actually makes one piece of info so much more valuable than another? Okay, so before we can even start judging quality, we have to get one thing straight. We need to talk about the difference between two key terms you see right here: data versus information. Understanding how we get from just raw numbers to something with real meaning, that's step one. It's actually pretty simple when you think about it. Information is just data that's been processed to give it some kind of meaning. Let's think about it like this. Imagine you have a pile of flour, sugar, and eggs on your kitchen counter. That's your data. They're just raw ingredients, right? But the recipe that tells you how to combine them to bake an amazing cake, that is information. It gives all that raw stuff context, structure, and a real purpose. All right, so now that we're clear on what we mean by information, let's get to the real heart of this thing: the 5 signs of quality. Seriously, think of what's coming next as your personal toolkit, something you can use for making way better judgments about everything you read, watch, and hear. And here they are, the big 5: accuracy, completeness, timeliness, relevance, and reliability. I want you to burn these 5 pillars into your brain. They are going to be your new best friends whenever you're trying to navigate this crazy digital world. So let's break each one down, one by one. First up, accuracy. This is the absolute foundation of quality information. It sounds obvious, I know, but it's so crucial. Is the information correct? Simple as that. Going back to our recipe, this means using salt when the recipe calls for salt, not accidentally grabbing the sugar. If you get that wrong, even by a little bit, the whole thing is ruined. It has to be factually sound, period. But hey, being accurate isn't enough if you're missing stuff. And that brings us to completeness. Does the information actually give you the whole picture? Think about it. A recipe that lists flour and sugar, but completely forgets to mention the eggs? Well, it's incomplete. You can start, sure, but you are not going to get the result you want. Quality information doesn't leave out huge, important pieces that could lead you down the wrong path. Next up is relevance. And this one's all about asking yourself, does this information actually matter for what I'm trying to do right now? You could have the most perfect, accurate, and complete recipe for beef stew on the planet. That's great, but it's totally irrelevant if what you're trying to do is bake a birthday cake. For information to have quality, it has to fit the context of your problem. And what about the source itself? Where did this info come from? That, my friends, is all about reliability. Can you actually trust where you got it? Let's go back to the kitchen. Are you using a recipe from a world-renowned chef with decades of experience under their belt? Or did you just find it in a random anonymous comment section online? See the difference? The reliability of the source has a massive impact on the quality of the information. Okay, and our 5th and final sign is timeliness. How up-to-date is the information? Now, this might seem pretty simple on the surface, but its impact is so profound, so important, that we're actually going to give it its own special section. We're calling it the Golden Principle. So that brings us to what we're calling the Golden Principle. And the idea here is really powerful. It's that almost every single piece of information out there has a ticking clock attached to it. Its value changes, sometimes dramatically, as that clock keeps ticking. Just let this sink in for a second. The value of information depends on how up-to-date it is. That's it. That one single idea can completely change how you evaluate everything. From a news report to financial data, even medical advice. It's a game changer. And this chart here, it shows it perfectly. Just think about a weather forecast. Knowing it's going to rain today, that is incredibly valuable information, right? You'll grab an umbrella. Now, knowing it might rain next week, still useful, yeah, but less urgent. And knowing that it rained exactly 1 year ago today, well, that's just a historical fact. It has pretty much zero practical value for any decision you need to make right now. So why did we just go through all of this? What's the point? Well, it's because when you start applying these principles, you stop being just a passive consumer of information. You become an active critical thinker. It's about empowering you to make smarter, better decisions in your personal life, in your professional life, everywhere. So here it is. This is your final takeaway, your quality checklist. The next time you read an article or see a report or you're just scrolling through your feed, I want you to run it through this mental checklist. Ask yourself these questions. Is it accurate? Is it complete? Is it relevant to me? Can I really rely on this source? And most critically, is it timely? So I'm going to leave you with this one thought. Now that you're armed with this brand new toolkit, you are ready to engage with the world in a much more intelligent way. The only question left is, what information will you question today? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.